This Shabbat is a very, very special Shabbat that is upon us. And this occurrence is really rare to take three Sifrei Torah used to read three different portions. The last time it happened was in 2016, if I recall well. And before that, probably 2005. So it doesn't happen very, very often. So we're reading three portions of the Torah tomorrow. Namely, the first one is Parshat Tazria. That's the portion of the week. Then Parshat Rosh Chodesh, which we are celebrating starting tonight. And tomorrow is the Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And of course, Parshat HaChodesh, the month. And explaining and speaking about the month of Nisan, which is known to be as Rosh Chodashim, the head of all the month, in which our holidays count begin from this month. This is the month in which our ancestors were redeemed and saved from the slavery in Egypt. And so the month of Nisan itself, the name of it, Nisan, many say that it comes from the word Nes, miracle, or Nisim, miracles that occurred so many thousands of years at the exodus from Egypt. So the connection between these three parashot is really very clear. They all deal with birth. Tazria really speaks about the birth of a baby. Rosh Chodesh is the birth of a month. HaChodesh, the month, is a birth of a nation, the nation of the people of Israel. Now, Parashat HaChodesh describes the first commandment given to the children of Israel, to Bnei Israel, as a nation, and that was the establishment of a calendar, thereby giving them mastery over their time. Once a nation is able to establish its own calendar and determine its own time, then that nation has achieved true independence and mastery over its own destiny. HaChodesh comes from the word Hadash, new, or Chodesh, which means month. The name month, Chodesh, it's called new because it's the renewal and rebirth of the moon every month. As the moon waxes and wanes over a period of 29 days, 12 hours, and 763 portions of an hour, and as it renews itself, so too the people of Israel as a nation wax and wane throughout history. This last reading is a call to the entire Jewish people to prepare themselves, of Parashat HaChodesh, to prepare themselves for the celebration of the festival of Pesach, of Passover. It is obvious that this month of Nisan is special because the Israelites, Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, achieved their freedom from slavery. And during their period of servitude, time did not belong to them. Rather, slaves spent their time fulfilling the will of others, of their master. A slave had no time to say which he could consider his or her own. He lacked freedom of choice due to his subservience to his master, who determined his complete schedule. In contrast, freedom grants the individual mastery over his or her own time, enabling them to decide the most effective way for its use. However, I ask you, are we really free to do with time as we see fit? Or are we slaves to time? We all carry watches and we have clocks in every room of our homes and offices. At least I make sure that in the synagogue, we don't have a clock that everybody can see and turn to me and says, we are late, we are early, please cut short your speech. So we don't have clocks in our synagogues. But people look at their watches when the speaker is taking longer than the expected time. We have deadlines to meet, expiration dates to be aware of. We have rush hours, peak hours, happy hours, and off hours. We have shifts and turns. So I ask you again, are we really free of the limits that time imposes upon us? I must concede that we might be slaves to time, but that is not the greatest problem. We have to maintain a schedule to be able to accomplish all what we set to accomplish and to fulfill our responsibilities. But I think the greatest problem is that we are slaves to the times in which we live, to the events which take place as a result of the times in which we live. These occurrences have a permanent influence upon individuals and nations, resulting in their rise and fall. We, the Jewish people, were given the gift of time, the ability to subjugate the events of time and transcend them so that they have no effect upon our spiritual and communal development. The only way we can reach the height of spiritual and communal development is by freeing ourselves from all masters, even from the dictates and absurdities of the events, as I said, associated with the times in which we live, the fashion of the times, the fads of the times, of our times, the news of the times, and all the absurdities of what society dictates to us during the times in which we live in. Now, because the true freedom is defined as the ability to free oneself from all the absurd constraints that society imposes and dictates upon us, especially when they contradict Torah values, Jewish Torah values, our sages state there is no free person other than the one who lives by the teaching of the Torah. The secret to the eternity of our people, in contrast to the many nations who have disappeared from existence, is that the rest of the nations followed the times and its dictates. Unlike our people who were subservient to the teaching of the Torah, who were followers to those principles, were freed from the fashions of the times. As we celebrate Rosh Chodesh Nisan this Shabbat, it's a new month, it's a new year, not calendar-wise, but by month-wise. Let us celebrate the renewal of our people as a nation and commit anew to our principles and values. Shabbat Shalom.